Hello, Lena Crew here with tip number 2 of Louise Hay's 12 Ways to Love Yourself. And I hope that this will help you to finally forgive yourself. So that is tip number 2. Tip number 2 is to forgive ourselves, to realize that we now know a lot more than we did in the past. And a lot of times, what happens is we use what we know right now to then hurt and shame what we didn't know in the past. And that is not what we want to do. We want to make sure that we're catching ourselves when we might want to think that, oh, well, we should have known that, right? And that's another Louise Hay thing, right? No shoulding on ourselves. So we want to catch ourselves when that happens and say maybe an affirmation, something like, I did the best that I could back then. I'm doing better now, and I will do better in the future. Something like that would be fantastic every time that you caught yourself doing something like shaming or blaming or shoulding, but really try to forgive yourself. And you might even say, I forgive myself for what happened in the past. I know better now. I'm doing better now. The other thing, I'll give you an example of what I did for many years. An example of, I didn't know what the word meant. I was a child. I called a family member a word. I thought it meant ding dong, silly, that type of thing. And it was dildo, a sexual toy. And I used to beat myself up and shame myself and feel like literally horror that I did that I used that word that I didn't know what it meant. I probably had heard it somewhere, who knows where, but I, for years would do that. And I finally had got to a point where I realized that that's not okay to shame myself, my little child, for not knowing what a word was. And I did that type of a practice of catching myself and saying to myself, hey, you did the best that you could. You didn't know. Now you do. And you're doing better. And you will do better in the future. I hope you have a wonderful night. And I hope that you'll join me for tip number 3 of Louise Hay's 12 Ways to Love Yourself right now. Thank you.